Now she'll have to vote in a new House district. Map makers drew new lines right through the middle of her neighborhood. Some are in the old House District 47, while others like Rondina are in the new House District 48. The truck was sailing down Burleson here when the cattle trailer unhitched right here and sailed through the wall of Mariana's kitchen. Look at it this way. An acre-foot is about this tall and the size of an entire football field. If you multiply that by 410,000 times, that's how much water they say Mexico owes the U.S. This smoke keeps coming in waves from over that way, this way to 973, FM 973, and that neighborhood right there. Well, let's measure. From the Wheatsville property line to the school, it's 1, 2, 3, 15, 16, 77, 78, 110, 149, 150. By my count, about half as close as it should be.
I'm gonna bark and make lots of noise.
This is one of the few homes still standing on Broadway.
Yeah, can you see past the pile of debris?
This is one of the few families back after the storm.
You're just happy your mama and daddy are home, aren't you?
Heather Kirchen was here just before it hit. Her husband, thankfully, was out.
Threw the dog in the car and we took off. I knew it was heading right for where we live.
A path of destruction 17 miles long and more than a mile wide. Nearly everything in this neighborhood gone. So terrible, even after returning, Heather hasn't seen the damage.
I purposely have not looked real closely, I think, just because it hits you. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about the people that probably were lost, but the fact that there's any walls standing anywhere through there just blows me away. I mean, we have two close friends that were on 8th Street and literally watched it rip the roof off, and they were holding a cat that was clawing and biting and let go, and they watched their cat be sucked up into the vortex.
No electricity, no water. No neighbors. The Kirchens still plan to stay the night in the place they almost lost.
We've been here so long, we've raised half the kids in our neighborhood. You know, it's only 10 blocks long and 1 block wide, so absolutely we want to stay.
You know, you pray and you thank God that your family is still here, and you put your head down and you do what needs to be done.
Not a lot of people left sifting through the rubble here in these neighborhoods today. We had storms throughout the day in the Oklahoma City area, and it made recovery even more difficult. In more, Josh.Hinkle, KXAN News.
We have these old glass records.
Over the last 5 years, Lars Hendricks has come to love how the state's language is a little different, something called the Texas twang.
Everyone would have said garden, not garden.
3 decades ago, he says 80% of Texans talked like this.
I've lived in Texas all my life. I was born in Titus County.
Now his research with the Texas English Project shows those numbers have definitely dipped.
I lived in Texas all my life. I was born in Titus County.
Too soon to say how much we've lost. His UT study measures the amount of vowels with a long, drawn-out accent.
When you say nice white rice as nice white rice, that's a typically Texan way of pronouncing those vowels.
You hear it from our leaders.
I'm not riding off into the West.
He says, man, you look like George Bush.
And from people on TV.
They also had some high-tech wizardry.
So we're live in downtown Austin tonight here in Cargyle, KXAN News.
But for most, though, it's only at certain times and places and around select groups of people.
What do you want me to say in Texas accent? I like your tie.
Tex-Mex.
If I eat any more, I'm gonna tump over.
You mean like friend? I, hand, reveal.
You can blame immigration, urbanization, and gentrification. Using the twang the least these days, people in cities and people under 25.
I don't think I have an accent.
I don't have any accent.
I don't have a Texas accent.
Why not?
Too much television.
I don't know. It doesn't run in my family.
This is my best Texas accent. I'm from Texas, and this is my accent.
The study shows Texans still talking this way usually embrace it.
Howdy, y'all.
What's up, y'all?
Howdy, y'all. How are you doing today? Hey, y'all. How you doing?
Henrik says hearing that, it's a bright point to a fading feature.
I want to assure you that it's not dying out. It's being used less, but not dying out.
It was the second worst mass shooting in U.S. history, and it helped fuel the nation's gun control debate.
What happened at Sandy Hook Elementary School has a tie to Texas.
And it could mean some big business for the state. Business that's already huge here. We now have about 150 gun manufacturers, everything from one-man operations to larger companies. Tonight, political reporter Josh.Steven.Hinkle travels to the scene of that tragedy, finding out how it could affect the economy down here.
If time heals all wounds, it's taking a long while in West Connecticut. Five months have done little to wash away the hurt. And the loss in the village of Sandy Hook. Safe to say, business is not back to normal.
We're running a special for $5 a haircut.
A bargain might be the only way for some shops to get by. Nancy Richards still feels the tragedy in her sales.
That after the shooting, it just died down. And nobody was walking around, there was no laughter, there's no, nobody even wanting to come down here.
To face the facts, the names of 20 children and 6 others shot dead in December at their elementary school just down the road.
Because I drive by the site every day.
In a place so peaceful, the massacre breaks the silence here daily.
And I have 3 daughters who all went through that school.
And makes its way to the front of the gun control fight nationwide.
It was really hard to figure out what normal looked like or what it was going to feel like.
In the aftermath, Connecticut passed some of the strictest firearms laws in the country, limiting some guns and banning others.
Welcome to Texas, ladies and gentlemen.
Texas Governor Rick Perry says he saw those restrictions as an opportunity.
A state that has a legislature that cares more about being politically correct than they do about economic development will pay a price in the environment that we live in today.
I'm from Texas. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Sooner the better, the faster, great.
After the shooting and the growing debate, Perry sent around 30 letters to firearms companies in states facing similar measures. He writes, responding to unwarranted government intrusion into your business, you may choose to consider relocating your manufacturing operations to a state that is more business friendly. His hook? Low taxes, a fair legal system, and financial incentives.
But the fact is, we have been doing economic development outreach. You can bet the state of Texas is going to reach out to you and say, hey, you want to come to a place where you can be freer?
On first brush, that sounds despicable.
On second glance, maybe understandable, even to the people of Sandy Hook.
What do I think about that? I think that's Rick Perry being Rick Perry.
No stranger to the Second Amendment, he's the NRA darling who shot a coyote on his morning jog, who gathers gun makers for a quick pick on Twitter, who wears the come-and-take-it mentality as a badge.
We want to invite you. If you're not already here, you consider coming to the place that still loves freedom.
Perry's approach is not unlike Nancy Richards.
Any new businesses, I think, is a good thing, no matter what happens.
He's doing what he can to attract companies. She's doing the same thing for customers.
So it's been working out so far.
Perry and a handful of other lawmakers are seeing success in their efforts to attract gun makers to Texas. Colt Competition is relocating from Connecticut. We went to the opening of Shield Tactical last week in Shiner, and a company called Tracking Point will open in Pflugerville this fall.